We'll hear the argument first this morning in Case 08-1521, McDonald versus the City of Chicago. Mr. Gura?
Chief Justice, and may it please the court. In 1868, we made a promise to the McDonald family. Them and their descendants would henceforth be American citizens. And with that American citizenship came the guarantee that no state could make or enforce any law that shall abridge the privileges or immunities of American citizenship.
Of course, this argument is contrary to the slaughterhouse cases, which have been the law for 140 years. They say Constitution only protects the federal rights, not the individual state rights.
That case should not have any effect on this argument.
What injustice has been caused by it that we have to remedy?
Justice Sotomayor, states may have become accustomed to violating the rights of American citizens, but that does not mean that those violations are under the Constitution.
Why are you asking us to overrule 140 years of prior law? I mean, unless you're looking for a place on some law school faculty.
No, I left law school a long time ago, and this is not an attempt to return. Justice Scalia, we would be extremely happy if you would overturn the lower court ruling on the grounds of the substantive due process theory that we presented in the Seventh Circuit. It was a right given to all American citizens, the Second Amendment, and...
Even though a large portion of the population at that time didn't have those rights?
I'm sorry?
Did married women at that time across the nation have the right to contract, to hold property, to sue and be sued, to have weapons?
Married women were considered United States citizens. However, the law didn't always protect people fully, and we've made great strides in this country, giving a greater level of protection to certain rights. We understand rights better today than we did 140 years ago.
This is a highly statistical matter. Here, every case will be on one side guns and on the other side human life. Chicago says, look, by banning handguns in the city, we save several hundred human lives every year. And the other side says, we don't think it's several hundred, and moreover, that doesn't matter. How do you decide the case?
We don't resolve questions like that based on statistics, do we?
We decide that not by looking at statistics, but by what is said in the Constitution.
However, statistics are used by legislatures.
The legislator should respect the fact that the rights in the Constitution are entitled to greater respect.
Thank you, counsel. Mr. Clement?
Chief Justice, and may it please the court. The Second Amendment protects a fundamental right that is guaranteed to the people. This applies to all states, just as New York Times v. Sullivan is the law of all 50 states, etc.
I guess we have not adopted a more rigid rule for the federal government than we have adopted for the states in either of those instances, have we?
That's also right, Your Honor. So why should the Second Amendment not apply to every state fully?
Thank you, Mr. Clement. Mr. Feldman?
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court. The Second Amendment should not be incorporated and applied to the states because the right it protects is not an implicit part of the concept of ordered liberty. Firearms, unlike anything else that is the subject of a provision of the Bill of Rights, is designed to injure and kill.
When is the last time implicit in the concept of ordered liberty was used to settle a court case?
1937? But the right to self-defense has little to do with the inclusion of the Second Amendment in the Constitution.
Firearms kill people is what the states say. And we ban it.
Right, and that has...
Other countries have done that, and your position is that a state or local government could completely ban all firearms.
Yes, but it would raise two arguments. One being the decision behind it being based...
You're switching horses now.
No, I'm not. No, Excuse me. My answer to the question would be
I'm trying to get you to take a position on whether or not you want us to pick and choose which amendments are part of ordered liberty.
As far as today, it is true that 44 states have some kind of recognition of a right to keep and bear arms.
How does your last argument make any sense?
I'm sorry. I'm saying that firearms must be allowed to be regulated by the states.
Would you be happy if we incorporated it and said reasonable regulation is part of the incorporation? Is that not what was already decided in Heller? I thought it allowed for reasonable regulation.
Right. The city of Chicago has come up with a mixed blessing for gun advocates, a ban on firearms but allowance for self-defense. This was done through the allowed legislature of the Second Amendment and allows us ordered liberty.
Thank you, counsel. Mr. Gura, you have 1 minute remaining.
I sincerely do believe that citizens are being robbed of their constitutional rights and privileges with the regulation of firearms in the city of Chicago. But at least we know one thing, which is that in 1868, the right to keep and bear arms was understood to be a privilege or immunity of citizenship. And if the court is considering watering down the Second Amendment, perhaps it should look to text and history.
Thank you, counsel. This case is submitted. Justice Alito has our opinion this morning in Case 08-1521, McDonald versus the City of Chicago.
2 years ago, in District of Columbia versus Heller, we held the Second Amendment protects an individual right to keep and bear arms in the home for purposes of self-defense. Heller did not decide whether the Second Amendment applies to the states. This case requires us to address that question.
This case began when several Chicago challenged Chicago ordinances that effectively ban handgun possession in the city. Chicago has high rates of violent crime, and the Chicago residents fear for their safety and want to keep handguns in their homes for self-protection.
The court empathetically rejects what is called the notion that the 14th Amendment applies to states only a watered-down, subjective version of the individual guarantee of the Bill of Rights. Justice Breyer has held a dissenting opinion in which Justices Ginsburg and Sotomayor have joined.
I do disagree with this, and I do not think the 14th Amendment protects the right to firearms, but the final opinion of the court majority does not reflect my dissent.
In conclusion, the court has found the Second Amendment is to be applied equally to all states, and the gun ordinance of the City of Chicago is no more.